Yo, what's up? Gonna be doing a post trading analysis on a Solana trade that I took yesterday. Just want to document it real quick. Pretty simple trade right here, so we're just gonna go over real quick. On the higher time frame, starting here, you can see we're in a bearish environment on the macro time frame for a long period of time. We had a macro distribution, came down, hit the target. We got that slow structured retracement into the extreme supply, and then we completed the move down, and it just kind of looks over like a massive rounding over top, where we've been seeing these bearish expansions on that downtrend. Now locally, we have swept some significant liquidity on this aggressive move down, but the move down is so aggressive that you can see some continuation of that move down before we start to see a significant reversal potentially. But yeah, so looking at this distribution here locally, we are in a confirmed distribution. It wasn't the highest probability, so I didn't personally take the trade, on that entry. Somewhere inside of there, just with the aggressive move up and the demand creation. Also with it being, kind of at the bottom of this pivot after sweeping a significant liquidity POI. But what we had was a local model on this retracement leg that we can see. So we came down, we front ran the technical target, we just came down into discount, and then we started seeing a structured move up while being in this confirmed distribution. So we had this structured move up right here. Looking something like this with 1, 2, 3, and 4 structured moves to the upside there. And yeah, this was the range I was observing for a distribution. You can see that although you were having some exhaustion to the upside, there was still liquidity higher and POIs higher for a potential retest of that distribution model, but doesn't necessarily have to get taken. All this doesn't have to get taken if you're already having the exhaustion and some distributive price action, and Bitcoin also is in line and wants to come lower. You can already start to see that rotation down from here. So what we had was a Model 1 flowing over into a Model 2 distribution right here. Where you had a 2-minute break of structure here. Is it 2 or 3? Yeah, 2-minute break of structure here that closed very deep. You also have this demand zone here. Creating supply. Clean return to zone here. Just with this demand zone being the main room for error, but at the same time you did have a confirmed Model 1 on that right there. So you had good liquidity build up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then some internal stuff right there. So some good liquidity build up there. It is a daily range where it's only 17 hours 58 minutes in duration. If we look at the sessions here, which my sessions are off by an hour after the time change. Okay, so those are the proper session timings. So you can see the day opened here. Asia put in the low of the range, and you got the move up for the entire day with Asia liquidity pre-London liquidity, London liquidity, and then New York causing this reversal, where you did get the break of structure instantly on New York, so that can be good confluence for the trade, but you also have to be aware that you're vulnerable to New York manipulation, which is what we saw here, where we got the sell to buy within that first hour of our New York session. So yeah, for 44 minutes, 45 or so minutes went down, and then we saw a continuation to the upside for the remainder of the New York session. Which, just very typical New York manipulation, where you have a manipulated move for, around the first hour of the session. But sometimes when you have a confirmation right on New York, that can be good confluence for the model as well. And you can see that this just barely front ran the technical target, where it did sweep, some extreme liquidity here. And if I was planning to take profit on this trade at the technical target, that's where my take profit would have been. So that would have gotten hit. But when I had taken this trade, targeting these lower levels, like the low right here and the low right here of the higher time frame distribution model, and I did not de-risk the trade, which is all good. This is criminal to front run the technical target that closely, so it is what it is. But I would have definitely de-risked if the trade offered a higher RR entry opportunity, where you can see that entering exactly on the break, since it was such a deep break, only offered about 3 RR, and I personally entered on this retest right here, retested this supply for about a 2.5 RR. So if I de-risked here, for 2.37, it would have greatly diminished the RR of the overall play, where this overall play has lots of potential to run much lower. And the only issue with the context on this one, the context was great on Solana, but Bitcoin did have some slight room to go higher to its third tap POI, where Bitcoin was in a distributive environment, not a confirmed distribution, but in a distributive environment with a 2-tap, making its way up to its third tap POI, and this confirmed with Bitcoin front running that third tap POI, which has now been, for the most part mitigated. We did, on this move up, we did, mitigate the least refined region of that POI on Bitcoin, which we're still looking to see a potential move up again on Bitcoin to come into the more refined region, and hopefully see some altcoins aligning. If not, and Bitcoin gives a quality confirmation, we can just take the trade on Bitcoin. But it's nice to have some altcoins aligning, just in case the confirmation isn't as perfect on Bitcoin, and we get some better confirmations on altcoins in line with that expectation of on Bitcoin. So yeah, overall, this is a quality trade that was worth taking. Market was just ready to go higher, but I think we have some quality opportunities ahead of us for, once Bitcoin can mitigate that optimal level for a reversal. Maybe we can see Solana, we're kind of getting a little bit of a rounding up bottom here. Although we hit the technical target of this local accumulation, maybe we can see some moves up, some more liquidity creation, some moves up, and, some sort of a distribution on Solana here that actually comes into, sweeping all of this liquidity above, and, is in line with Bitcoin coming into its refined supply POI. So that's what I'm going to be looking for going forward. But yeah, this was the trade. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching.